Okay, I'm gonna make an intro.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Alisa, this is Manami. We're gonna talk about tour and ballet. We want to discuss what it's really like, the pros and cons, tips if you're gonna go, what else?
Just some general advice, I think.
Yeah, general advice. And we're not going to mention company names in this video, we're just gonna talk in general. I've spent 3 years on tour. That was the beginning of my professional life.
I did it for about a year, from like October to May, so about like a full season.
Yeah, and we worked in the same company for a little while, but I've also worked with many different touring companies. So if you plan on going or if you're interested, you can DM me on Instagram. I can get you connected, or if you have a question about a specific company, I can tell you whether I think personally that it's worth going. So what tour is really like? You're performing almost every day. New city every day, new stage every day, so you never know what you're gonna get. Could be rigged, could be flat, could be bumpy.
We performed in like a movie theater once.
Yeah, it might not even be a theater.
Like I underestimated like how much performing you were gonna be doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just like I've never done before in my life. So
Yeah.
It was a big adjustment for sure. Each tour is about, it really depends. Both the tours that I did were like a fall tour and a spring tour, so I think they were about 4-5 months or so, not too.
Yeah, it could go anywhere from just 1 month
Yeah.
of touring, and 1 month could be like 20 shows, 25 shows, up to a whole season. Some companies just do full tour seasons. Most touring companies don't have a real home base. You're just touring all the time, but there is a location that they choose to have rehearsals in right before you start. And usually that rehearsal period is really short. I've had anywhere from 3 days to put together a ballet to maximum like 10 days. But the 10 days was for 3 ballets. We had Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, and Nutcracker. So for 1 ballet, it's like 3 days to maybe a week.
My first tour, I joined like a month in, and so everyone was kind of already done. And basically the day before my first performance, we all went to like a garden, and then we rehearsed the ballets that I was going to be doing, and that was like my one rehearsal before the final performance.
Sometimes you just slot in there. For tours, you usually get hired by video or even just through connections through Instagram. The way the pay works is you're paid per show. There's usually a minimum, and then for every little solo you have, and a solo could be like a duet, or Big Swans is 3 people, that's also considered like a solo. You get a little bit extra pay for those kind of featured roles. So you'll have a minimum plus extra for whatever little solos you have.
But I feel like, I mean, travel is covered, hotels are covered, food is usually somewhat
Yeah, the good
covered.
companies will feed you three times a day. Some companies, they just get you a hotel that offers breakfast included, and then they'll give you like a lunch and a dinner at the theater. And some of them will just either not give you food for lunch and dinner, or they'll give you a per diem so you can buy stuff for yourself.
As with anything in ballet, there's a lot of pros and cons.
So we're gonna cover the pros first, because there are a lot of pros to tour.
That is true, yeah. It was my first professional experience, and I was pretty young. And at the time, I was also auditioning for a lot of companies. And I quickly realized, especially in America, like there really aren't any paid positions available for dancers. If you're under, I want to say like 22.
Yeah.
But it really just
If you're lucky to get even paid, but at 22,
like
U.S. companies.
the amount of like traineeships and second companies, you know, it's just more difficult to
get paid for your work.
Yeah.
One of the pros is that you do get paid. It's not very much pay, but you do get paid.
You get a lot of performing experience. That was like the first time I feel like I really learned how to rehearse really effectively, how to take class really effectively. You kind of just learn through doing it. I don't think that's something anyone can really teach you.
You learn a lot, you gain a lot of experience, you get to spend a lot of time on stage. So if you want a lot of stage experience, like for me, my first tour was right after COVID, and it was my first job, and I had been in quarantine for so long, I was just like, 150 shows, yes please.
And I think too, like, it's really good as a resume builder just because of how much you're dancing, like how many roles, like different roles you're gonna get to do.
And if you're young, you get more solo opportunities, I feel like. They don't care so much about ranking. If they see you can do it, they'll give you a chance. So if you want more opportunities to start getting solos, that's definitely a good pro.
And because you're like traveling all the time with the same group of people and you're staying in the same hotel, like you really build like a very special connection with the people that you tour with. And like even like 3 years later, I still have like so many amazing memories from like that.
Yeah, you get to form a lot of good memories, a lot of stories to tell. Some of them are not so great in the moment, but afterwards they're definitely good
really
stories
funny,
to tell. Sometimes it feels, I mean, I never went to college, but I feel like it's kind of similar to like a college experience because you're all in the same hotel together and there's sometimes gatherings in the rooms, birthday parties, all of that. Wait, I want to add something to the tips. Do not drink too much.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that. Another pro is that tours are mostly classical repertoire, so you'll get a lot of Swan Lake. That's the most that you'll get.
Yeah, people love Swan Lake.
Yeah, Swan Lake really sells, so on tour you get a lot of that. You really want to get your classical rep up, then tour is a good option.
And I think too that's also good to like figure out what you want. Like, is doing just classical ballet repertoire enough to really make you feel fulfilled as an artist? Because it might not be, you know, and it's like, even if that's the case, it's like, no, at least you know.
Or it might be exactly what you want.
Right.
Well, you do get to travel and see some places. You don't have a lot of time off, but if you do have a day off, like I spent some great time in Munich. I spent a lot of time in
Vegas.
In Vegas.
Us in Vegas, that was crazy.
Yeah,
I was not even 21 at the time, but yeah, it was really fun.
Oh, one other pro that I wanted to talk about is you kind of realize how strong you are. Double show days, for example, where you're performing 2 shows in one day, you have maybe an hour or 2 hours in between those shows. Or if you have a couple double show days in a row, sometimes I remember with my colleagues, we'd get through it and we'd be like, wow, like, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know we could do that. And you kind of realize how much you're capable of handling, and you can take that experience into your next job and know, like, I'm strong.
Yeah, carry that as confidence in yourself.
Yeah. For a first experience, it's a really good one.
For sure.
Yeah, for like your first job. Okay, moving on to the cons.
It's very easy to get sucked into that world and like stuck in the touring world. Auditions usually happen like February to April-ish for most companies in America. And you're gonna be performing like almost every single day. It doesn't stop just because you have, you know, auditions. Because of that, and also I think like it's easy to get comfortable too.
Yeah, it's easy to get comfortable. You kind of get sucked into that tour life, and you get gig after gig. Like once you get one, it'll just keep coming. You'll get offered the next job and the next job, and then it's hard to get out of tour life and into regular auditions and get a company job. So you were talking about that you're touring, you're performing every day. You can't just kind of leave and go do an audition because you have a show, you have your responsibilities, and also the fact that you do get comfortable and you're like, well, I have my next job lined up anyway. Might as well do this for another year, another 2 years.
I think it's like a combination of all those things that make it easy to sort of
get stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, another big con is you're going to be tired. Your body's going to be falling apart very quickly because you don't exactly have time to go to PT or just to stretch out in the evening. You know, you're so tired from performing. You're performing every day. You're sleeping on the bus a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You're sleeping on the bus in these strange positions. We'll insert some clips of people on the floor with their legs everywhere.
It's always interesting trying to get out of the bus when there's a lot of people like sleeping.
Yeah, it's like parkour.
Yeah.
Which is also one of the good memories that you can talk about after tour. I remember when I went on my first tour, my more experienced friend, she was giving me tips, and one of the things she said was, forget about sleep on tour. You're not going to get enough sleep. Like, you just have to accept that. However much it is, a month or 6 months, you just have to accept that you're going to be tired, you're going to be sleep deprived, your body's going to fall apart a little bit, and then you have to put it back together after tour. That's one of the pros actually too, that you kind of learn how to take care of yourself within those circumstances. You learn how to dance through those, you don't want to dance through serious injuries, but you're going to have aches and pains, and you learn how to work through them, and you learn that, you know, it's still your responsibility to go on stage and dance no matter what. So.
And I think too, like, that's important in any, like, other professional job that you get. So
I mean, there are limits. If it's serious, don't perform, take a day off. They're gonna dock your pay, it's okay.
Yeah.
But generally, like, you do learn how to work through a lot of mental and physical struggles. It becomes so mundane performing every day. You lose kind of the magic and the spark of performing. That's definitely one of the cons. And now that I'm performing less often, every performance feels more magical. I feel like it's around the 20 show mark. After 20, it starts kind of going downhill. Maybe around 50 shows, it comes back a little bit. You kind of start performing without the adrenaline, which is also an interesting experience because you kind of realize that you can still do it. You're still, you know, swan number, whatever. It's definitely harder to make your body do it when you don't have that adrenaline, but it's also something you learn how to work with.
Sometimes, like, because we would rehearse the ballets before, like, to an, you know, empty house, that sometimes when I was on stage it would feel similar.
Yeah, you almost don't notice the audience anymore. Although I remember it was interesting to see sometimes during Swan Lake or Giselle or whatever, the people who go out to do the hunt or like the royalty, the people who walk on stage, they'd always go on and kind of check out the audience and then come up and be like, oh, there's a lot of them, or there's this like really well-dressed grandma in the front row, or find someone in the audience who's interesting.
Keep it fresh for yourself, and I think that will go a long way in like how much you enjoy performing.
Yeah, sometimes it also, you get a reminder of what you're doing it for when you kind of see the appreciation of the audience members. If you see like a little girl in the audience who's dressed like a ballerina. Or I remember in Japan, we had this one super fan, this lady, she came to like 50 shows. She would follow us, like she would follow our tour around the country.
Oh my gosh.
And she'd be in the front row like, bravo, bravo.
That's true.
And a lot of the Japanese audience members would give us gifts like after the show and take pictures with us. And you see them appreciate ballet, and it kind of reminds you like, it's not just work, like you're doing it for someone, and for each audience member, it's one show. We talked about earlier that you get to bond with people in a special way, but you also see the worst of everyone because everyone's at their most tired and most stressed, and now looking back, I understand that everyone was just in that kind of state. Yeah, so when you're on tour, you do get to see the worst of people.
And probably like yourself too, you know? So
you don't, sometimes you're not your best. You're not at your best as a person.
But like similarly, like give yourself a little bit of grace in those moments too.
One of the big cons is class time. You don't get a lot of class on stage. Sometimes because your bus arrived late, you'll do just bar or a shortened class, and you never really get to do a full class. Well, I don't want to say never, but you don't often get to do a full ballet class.
You don't really know where you're going to be taking class. Like sometimes we would take class in like a proper studio.
Yeah, sometimes we'd have bars. Sometimes you don't. You hold on to whatever. Also, it depends on who's your rehearsal director. Some of them are really, really good with making a consistent class and making you finish class. Some of them are a little bit more chill, I guess, but that's not great. One thing about tour is it's going to be a lot less organized than a regular company. Everything is, usually you're in a group chat. Right, and everything, all the information is sent through the group chat. I remember my first tour, I was so naive. Like, we were on our way to our first performance, and I was like, do you think they'll tell us what we should do with our hair? Or like what kind of makeup we should do? It's like,
you are expected to figure it out.
Yeah, or costumes. I mean, some places we did have costume fittings, but my first tour, it was a couple hours before the show. They just threw in all the swan tutus and were like, girls, figure it out. That kind of thing, it's not well organized, and you don't know when class is going to be, when rehearsal is going to be the next day, because usually you don't know when your bus is going to arrive. It depends on traffic and all that. So sometimes on the way to the theater, it's in the group chat, like, class is at 3:30. And then one other thing is
the food.
The food. You will get, if you're on a good tour, and there are good tours, you will get fed 3 times a day. You'll get your hotel breakfast, and you'll get your cooked lunch and dinner. But you don't have much choice over what you're eating. So if you have restrictions, I did know a couple, a married couple, they were vegan in Japan, and they managed through the whole tour to stay on their vegan diet, and that takes a lot of work, so it can be done. I also knew a couple that they brought all of these things. They brought like a toaster and one of those, what are they called, like panini press.
Oh yeah. Little things like that I think you learn through just like doing it, like the little tricks of the trade, for sure.
Okay, now we're getting into the official tips section. If you're going on tour, here's our best advice from our experience.
Know the choreography. This is the biggest one. You're screwed if you arrive the first day and you don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah, but also levels to knowing the choreography. Some people think they know the choreography, they watch the video a couple times, but that's not what knowing the choreography means, especially in this case.
Yeah.
You have to know your spot, know the musicality, know where your head is, your arm, your épaulement, and you have to kind of orient yourself and understand exactly your position if you're in the core, which spot you're in, which part of the
In
stage.
comparison to the people around you.
Yeah, so you should be able to just hop into rehearsal and do it full out with no problem. That's what knowing the choreography is in this case. If you're not very good with learning choreography, drill it into yourself. Like we said before, you'll have a couple days to a week of rehearsal. They don't have time to be patient with you. If you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to be very pleasant for you. You're going to be screamed at.
Also, like the sense of self-responsibility that you have, that you know, all these other dancers also need that rehearsal time, and you can't be the one taking up all the attention and all of the time. You know, those other dancers, it's not really fair to them. So I think it's also about self-responsibility.
And it's really useful now because I'm so used to that kind of responsibility that now it feels so much easier that I'm with a company, because we do spend more time on choreography there and we do go over it, and for me it's just, oh well, I already know this, I've already gone over it, and it's no problem to learn new things and learn very quickly.
And then you can spend that time, like, you know, on coaching and really refining the work, and not just being like, what comes next? Which is just important in ballet, period. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about class time, so we can elaborate more on that. Utilizing class time well, and you won't be getting a lot of corrections during class. They're not going to spend time on you, but you have to take responsibility to make sure you are being consistent and you are staying in shape, because it's actually easy to get out of shape on tour. You might lose your pirouettes or things like that if you're not consistent.
And I think too, like, really focus on like placement, just be really like good about those sort of like basics of ballet during that class time.
It's easy to lose your technique on tour.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also just the exhaustion. It's really hard to stay consistent when you're so tired, when you're so sleep deprived. And sometimes class just becomes about warming up for your rehearsal and your show and not about your technique. And sometimes that is okay. That's another tip. You do need to know your limits, know your body's limits, and know when to take a step back, know when not to jump. Don't skip class if you don't need to skip class, but if you do need to take it easier, or even maybe not jump so high, not as high as usual, those kinds of things, like learning how to mediate those things. Advocate for yourself if you want roles. My first tour, I was one of the least experienced dancers there. A lot of them had been on tour or in companies for a while. Some of them came with soloist status. I did push myself by doing the scariest thing, which is asking the director for opportunities. I remember I walked up to her on the second day of rehearsals and I was like, I see that Fairies isn't casted yet for Sleeping Beauty. Could you please consider me? And it's a terrifying thing to do, but if they know you want it, they might look at you a little bit differently. So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. The worst they can say is no, you're not ready.
They don't consider you for those roles, and then as soon as you voice that you want to do it, then it's like you sort of like are entered into the running for it. That doesn't mean you'll get to do it, but it means like they're like, oh yeah, like maybe she could do it.
Yeah, you can ask to be considered. Don't be afraid to do that. I mean, you will be afraid, but do it anyway.
If there's a role you really want to dance, learn it.
Yes, learn.
A lot of injuries happen.
Yeah, I would say learn as many roles as you can, especially if it's something you want to do. But learn in a way that you could step in at any moment, because people get injured, people get sick, and you might have the chance. You might be able to say, hey, I know this. But you have to be able to actually do it. Like, I don't know.
Of course, yeah.
What I mean is, you need to know it well enough that you can confidently say, I know this, I can do it, let me show you. This is in other companies too, but on tour especially, it happens more often that you might have to step in because it's so stressful and people get injured and sick more often.
But I think like dancers, if they go into another company, they're going to be understudying everything. So like that skill is important to have no matter what situation you're in. It's just that in touring companies, you have a great chance of actually being asked or getting to dance those roles.
I didn't have this problem because I don't drink, but a lot of people on tour, they go into party mode, like serious party mode.
Which is easy to do that, but it's like you
Yeah,
know, you're there to work.
Yeah, you are there to work, and there is a balance. You should be able and allow yourself to relax. My first tour, I certainly didn't do that. I was so focused on just taking care of my body every night. It was like everyone was like, "Oh, we're having a gathering or a birthday party," and I was like, "No, I need to roll out. I need to do this." Find time where you can enjoy yourself and forget about work for just a little bit.
Yeah, it's important for burnout too.
Yeah, especially if you're on tour for a really long time, for a whole season. Did you have those fights about laundry?
My roommate and I, we go down to the laundry room to start our laundry, and there's like someone doing their laundry. So then we're like in the group chat, we're like, "Oh, who's doing their laundry? Can we go after you?" And they're like, "Well, this person's going after me."
Yeah.
And it's like this whole
there's like a
list.
line, there's a list of people trying to do the laundry. This is important. Most hotels don't have the kind of laundry where you just put a coin in. Sometimes they do, and when they do, I would suggest doing it in the morning when everyone's asleep. Wake up before breakfast, go do your laundry then. Or sometimes there's like a laundry machine at the theater, a washing machine. And again, there's fights about that. As soon as, sometimes in the group chat, it would be like, "Oh, there's a machine at the theater. I'm first. I'm second." Wash your tights by hand in the sink. Collaborate with people to do your laundry together.
This is kind of different, but like keep your shoes clean, point shoes.
Yeah, keep your point shoes clean. I mean, Gaynors are easiest to keep clean. Gaynors you can chuck in the washing machine too. We did that a lot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Europeans, I know Americans don't know about this, but guys, you can machine wash your Gaynors. We did it a lot. Like, I remember we would all collect everyone's Gaynors after the show and throw them in the machine at the theater. And it's great for a couple of reasons. This is my own personal pro tip. Honestly, if you're on tour, Gaynors are your best bet because they're not gonna fall apart. You don't have to bring like 20 pairs. You can bring 3 pairs and you're good. But also, if you put your Gaynors in the washing machine, they stay clean and they kind of tighten up again. They're harder and they feel newer.
Even if you don't wear Gaynors, like, you know, a little bit of like powder, a little bit of like, you know, just
yeah, for
just
performance,
maintenance.
it's important. Yeah, because you're performing every day, your shoes are going to get dirty, and you need them to look nice for shows.
Yeah.
You want to look put together on stage, and sometimes you will get in trouble for not having clean point shoes. Okay, here's a big point I want to mention. Not overspending when you're on tour, because you're not going to be making a lot of money, but you don't have to spend money on tour, especially if you're being fed. You actually can collect some savings when you're touring, and I feel like the more stressed out you get, the more tempted you are to start spending money at the gas stations when you stop and things like that. The last tour that I did last year was a very good experience. It was a great company, and I was very determined to make some savings. So my first 3 weeks, I was great. I didn't spend any money on food because we were fed. But as soon as I started getting stressed, every single gas station stop, I started getting a coffee, like a $2, $4 coffee, and it just started, it starts trickling away from you, that money. A lot of gas stations, you'll be at a lot of gas stations, and you will be tempted to spend some money on some snacks or some coffee, but if it's not necessary, don't spend that money.
And also to consider too, right, like that income isn't consistent. You're only getting the money when you're performing, so think about like all the times you won't be performing, like it's good to have a savings for that reason. Yeah,
my biggest tip for young dancers who are starting tour, or their first job is a tour job, is try not to spend that money, instead save it and go use it to audition. I got so excited my first tour about getting paid, because when you're young, when it's your first ballet job, you're just over the moon about the fact that you're getting paid to dance. And I remember when I got a solo and I found out that I was going to be paid extra, I was like, well, I would have done the solo for free.
Like, it makes sense. It's understandable for sure, but
yeah, as you get older, you learn that you do deserve to get paid for your work.
We kind of touched on this, but just be patient with everyone. Be nice to everyone. Everyone is really stressed. It can like really go a long way just to be kind and give others grace.
Yeah, be kind to people, be kind to your colleagues, be kind to your directors. Understand that we're all in this together.
Also that everything is temporary, like for better or for worse.
Yeah, one thing I'm gonna say is if you go on tour, you will miss it. You might not want to go back, but you will miss some of those memories and some of those moments.
And we were just telling our teacher, like, we don't have any regrets.
Yeah, I do get nostalgic about some things about tour. I even get nostalgic about the parkour on the bus.
I know, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. It's like in the moment, you're like,
You're like, oh my god, but
But-
afterwards, it's just, you look back at it fondly. Something that I learned on tour, and is kind of specific to tour, is that you can't be at 100% every day. Your performance isn't going to be 100%. If you're performing every day, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And it's something that you do have to accept. When you're young, it's hard because you feel like, I have to be on it, I have to be perfect, I have to do better and better every day. But sometimes it's just not gonna happen if you have 100 shows in a row.
Like when you're really young and eager, like it's just easy to, and also just because of like inherently ballet training.
Yeah, it's all
But
about
you
trying
want
to
to be better and better and better every single day, which is true, but also on the other hand, it's like, I think for performances, especially if you're doing like 8 performances a week, you have to kind of pull back a little bit.
Yeah,
in
you have
terms
to
of your
moderate.
expectations.
Yeah, and this is specifically for tour, because if you're in a ballet company and you're not performing so often, then you're on stage, you're giving it 100 every time.
Sit in the back of the bus.
Sit in the back of the bus. I disagree. Okay, give me yours.
Okay, my first touring job. I have actually, you gave me a lot of good advice before I went. But one of the things that I was not prepared for is that, so you're all on a bus, right? And there's like this hierarchy.
Oh yeah,
in
the bus hierarchy.
For example, like rehearsal directors, like
Soloists, principals at the front.
yes. And if you're doing like corps de ballet, or even if you're like just like a new member to the troupe,
Yeah.
like I think it's courteous to keep those front seats open and like take yourself to the back. But try to sit with
Okay.
your friends to make it fun, you know? But,
Yeah, I
like,
see your point.
within reason.
I feel like the back of the bus is kind of like a party spot sometimes, which is why I
That's
don't
fair,
like it.
yeah.
Like, I would say if you're not a party person, maybe aim for the middle of the bus if you're new, and try and like go more towards the front as you kind of gain status.
Try to make a friend that's like kind of similar to you and just sit with them.
You won't get 2 seats to yourself on the bus unless you're a soloist or a rehearsal director.
But keep those front seats open.
Yeah. Sit with someone you vibe with. Oh, well, let's get into this, because this is one of the tips I gave Manami. Have something to lie down on and sit on.
Oh,
I have this little Turkish towel. I don't have it with me right now. It's literally called a Turkish towel, and you can fold it and you can use it as a blanket and you can sit on it. And a lot of people would lie down in the aisles on the bus. So having something to sleep on and wrap yourself in, kind of a combination blanket/mat kind of thing.
So we're gonna talk about who we collectively think this, like, a touring company would be good for. And we mentioned this before, but like young dancers, again, like this was my first job and I felt so lucky that I had the opportunity to be paid to dance.
It's definitely great for a first job.
Yes.
And one thing I also want to mention, it makes you strong. It really pushes you. What I mean is, young dancers, you're very delicate when you're 18 or 19, especially, like I definitely was. I was very sensitive. That's the word. You're very sensitive and you're very, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people I know aren't very confident in themselves and don't know how to advocate for themselves and kind of hide. On my first tour, I was definitely very apologetic, and tour teaches you that you can't be that way in the dance world. You definitely become a stronger person, and for young dancers who kind of need that push, I would say it's very, very good.
And also the ability to like brush something bad off really quickly.
Yeah, the ability to brush
change
things
gears.
off, brush off a bad performance. You slip on stage, you cry.
And then that's it. Like act 2 now.
Yeah, exactly. It teaches you confidence.
I think it's a bit like brutal, but you definitely come out of it stronger.
I don't want to just say that tour is rough. Tour is rough, tour is stressful, but sometimes that's good for you, especially as a young dancer with a first job.
If you've reached the point in your ballet training where you're good enough to be in a company,
You're marketable.
Right. Then it's something that you kind of have to go through.
Yeah.
And every dancer will go through if they want to be successful.
After tour, it's like you're ready for anything. Once you go into a different company, it's almost like easier. Tour is a good transition, honestly, from school into company, rather than going through a second company or through a trainee program where you don't get paid. It's a good prep for your next job. Yeah. Rounding out, tour can be a good experience for you. You will miss it when you're done. You can look back at that time fondly. So if after everything you've heard in this video, it's something you want to do, try. Or reach out to me and I'll help you.
I think my advice too is just to like always like be looking for more. Like always, you know, don't get too comfortable. Always be looking for more opportunities, more ways to grow. I mean, this is your career, right? So it's like whatever you want to do, you kind of have to take that into your own hands.
We're so wise.
We're on the other side. We had to go through a lot too.
Thank you for watching. Bye. You've made it to the end of the video, so please enjoy some bonus clips from our tour together. This is the ballet Snow White, where I am a squirrel and Manami is a bunny.